Good evening, Randomania. We're here with more Final Fantasy 1. You might as well get used to it. There is a lot more to go. But, you know what? If you're here, that means you probably like it. And if you don't like it, stick around. You might come to appreciate it after a little while. But anyway, hi, I'm Woat. And with me in the booth tonight, we've got Space Drake, I believe. Isn't that right, Space Drake?
That is correct. I am commentating my third Final Fantasy Randomizer match ever. And tonight we have a matchup of two longtime veterans of the Final Fantasy Randomizer community.
That's right, AliGerBrap and SledgeCalamy, both fairly experienced in this game, both having participated in some pretty interesting flag sets in the past, and they're here to kind of go toe-to-toe. We've got Sledge rocking the Fighter Rainbow, and we have AliGerBrap going with a Fighter Thief Red Mage Black Mage. So, two fairly common parties in these flags, if I'm not mistaken. Like, not just the Fire Week flags, but just the overall Swiss flag options.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Fighter Rainbow is probably the most vanilla and safe party composition that you could pick in, especially like the spring tournament, because it covers pretty much everything that you are likely to find, especially in the early game. If you find a good weapon, you've got the fighter. If you get that sweet nuke in the level 1 or even level 2 magic shop, you've got two casters for that. And you have a decent chance, if you get an early fade, of having two characters who can cast that.
Oh yeah, and on the flip side, with bringing a thief instead of a white mage, you trade that spell security for the ability to definitely get out of any fight you don't want to that will let you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also... Go ahead.
And you can always damn the thief if you decide, I just want to go 3-man strats and turn my fighter into a god.
Yeah, but on the flip side, if you happen to get really good equipment, just slap some weapons on that thief and boom, you've got 2 melee that you can throw at things. So, both of these parties have some strengths that they can take advantage of, but they are off.
Yep, we are off like a herd of turtles. And the white magic has that fade, and it is in a red mage learnable slot.
Uh-huh. And
oh dear.
We got Bane in black magic, and that's really it. So, not really much competing for that red mage's spells, which is perfect. Do you like seeing things blow up, Space? Because I think we're going to see a lot of things blow up.
Yeah, I have to give an early advantage to Sledge here, because he's got that double cast of fade going on. Although Ali could find something here in either Temple of Fiends or in one of the other early checks that could give him an advantage, and Ali is taking an early grind on the sea. I'm not sure how much I like this play as opposed to just going to Provoca and like hitting DK's buddies in the face with a fade.
I mean, I definitely have to agree with you on this one, but the bright side is Ali already knows now that you can pretty much sail wherever you want. You ain't gonna get into very many fights, especially if you're using your tents right. But
and those Sahagan have poison touch.
Nice. Yeah, I'm guessing that his actual thinking there is, I'm gonna get more value out of a fight on the ocean than I'm going to get out of fighting imps. Yeah. So,
and meanwhile, the king and princess of Canaria Castle giving us a whole bunch of shiny rocks.
Mm-hmm.
That is the ruby and the adamant, and we can turn one of those in immediately.
Yeah, I suspect we're going to see Sledge first head to Provoca just to go ahead and get his level 2 spells and, you know, see if maybe the pirates will hand over the TNT or, you know, something else that
we can turn
nice
in
to have
very
before.
locally.
Yeah. But speaking of things that will be very nice to turn in, that is a floater in the Canary Islands. So,
And
yeah.
for not a lot of money either. That 5,000 is not a heck of a lot to cobble together, especially on this flag set.
Well, it's one of those things, the Canary item shop's always going to be like that. I believe the randomizer is set up. An item will roll its value, and if it lands again, proceed to have that value cut by an eighth, or possibly a fourth. I want to say it's an eighth, though. And then Provoca is going to be a fourth, and then Elephant, I think, is either full price or a half. But basically, the early towns are set in a way where if a vendor item lands there, the price is adjusted to make it a little more reasonable to actually be able to afford it. This is the result of a seed I rolled where we landed a 32k TNT in Canary with no bridge or access to dwarves.
And that's heal 2 and a bunch of defensive spells on level 2 white magic. And for black, we got Nuke.
Okay, Nuke and
Warp.
And Fire 3 and Lit 3. That's a little bit unfortunate, because you kind of want that Fire 3 and Lit 3 to land on a different spell than Nuke, so you can take advantage of their bonus damage against enemies that are vulnerable. But you know what? I don't think these runners are going to complain about the excessive firepower that they are currently carting around, especially Sledge.
Yes, Sledge is going to have 2 folks who can cast Nuke and 2 folks who can cast Fade, and that's really all the firepower he's going to need for the entire seed. I really would say that right now, Sledge has a significant advantage in terms of just how much he can kill.
Yeah.
And he gets a loot for beating up some pirates.
Yeah. The biggest advantage that Ali kind of has in the face of all those spells is just his ability to pick and choose fights. That's the strength the Thief brings to the table, is you get to decide who you're fighting. But,
and Ali is still going to have plenty of firepower the instant he arrives in Provoca.
Yeah. We are going to at least go ahead and find out through Ali if the witch is harboring anything of interest tonight. We've seen a lot of things in these boxes. Mazas...
Ribbons?
Okay, we take
That'll
those.
do.
Like, Sledge is almost certainly going to find that in short order, but, you know, Ali is not going to complain about already knowing where his ribbon is.
And in fact, Sledge is on his way to pick that ribbon up immediately.
Yeah. It's the wise play. You check these chests because there's, what, 5 boxes that you can open without No, 8 boxes you can open without going into Marsh Cave or finding the key. Before you have to go to Marsh Cave to get the canal. So, yeah.
If you're gonna avoid that Marsh Cave, you usually want to.
Yeah, no, you check every single box that is not in Marsh Cave, even if you have to go through hell to get there. So, but Ali is about to get his good news about, his weapons platforms.
Behold. It's also pretty cheap, too. 143 is a nice price for Provoca magic.
So, here's the riddle. If you were running this seed, and you saw that Provoca, would you be tempted to reset and go for full Maya strats?
I don't know. In this case, I would not be, because I would also be hoping that I can possibly promote early, especially in these fire seeds that, at least in my experience, have been giving up an early floater somewhat more often than not, and hoping that you can get the promotion, and then you can turn your ninja into an additional tactical nuclear weapon.
Yeah, legit. This is one of those things where I think that there are some people who that temptation would just kind of wiggle into the back of their mind of, I could just roll 4 red mages and just fade and nuke everything in this video game into submission. And it would... The crazy thing is, I don't think that would be a bad play. Like,
even at 7 minutes in, the reset wouldn't be a bad play.
Okay, do you know how much power 48 non-elemental damage spells have, like, at the end of the game?
It's a lot.
Yeah!
Well, it also depends, though, on how much magic defense the Four Fiends Revisited and the and that TNT that we just found rolls up, and that is a hell of a place to find the TNT, because holy crap, you can just walk down here and hand some explosives over to a dwarf who is too lazy to look for them, and get a slab for your trouble.
Alright, so we've got a bottle, we've got a slab, we have turned in an adamant, we've turned in TNT. We have not found a canal.
Nope.
Okay. Sledge did check the top chest in Dwarves, right? Like, he found that TNT,
he checked
and
both.
then... Okay. Because it's one of those things I couldn't remember there for a moment, and it was just kind of like... That's the kind of mistake I could see someone making, so I'm going to ask, just in case.
And with that that dwarf money and that Matoya money, Sledge goes ahead and picks up the floater. Ali about to get the news on his end about the explosives and the slab and all that.
Yep. So, you know what this means, though, right?
That means it's time to put your mucking shoes on, because we're going into a marsh and armed with ice 2. And a whole lot of nothing else on level 3 black magic.
Yeah, fortunately, though, we do have warp. And exit, if you have a white mage.
Yep. However, Sledge cannot quite afford that at the moment, and I would imagine he's also feeling decently enough with 2 warp casters. He is feeling less alright over the fact that those ogres have glance. Yeah, but he didn't save in Elfland, so he's got to make the trip back across the ocean.
He's not going to lose much time on that.
And Wrigglypuff, yes, Warp was on level 2 black alongside Nuke.
And we have Fade at level 1 in one of the red mage slots. So,
and Sledge is just gonna go ahead and put that exit on his white mage, and is going to probably save here. Simply save. And Ali also getting the good news about exit, which is a lot less useful for him. And they are both hopefully going to save, and Ali is making a few checks on the armor available, wanting to bulk up probably that fighter a little bit. Can't quite do so yet.
Well, he may be thinking of the thief, actually, because we did see chainmail back in Provoca, so that fighter is in pretty good shape right now. Because you can always afford chainmail, and Ali's been around the block enough to know you get that chainmail at the first opportunity, and you only take it off when you find something worth taking it off for. So, either way,
the dreaded dive is about to occur.
I'm feeling a lot less dread with this dive because, again, do you know how many murder spells we are currently carrying in this party?
It's true. Although the werewolves certainly don't want us to have any elemental resistances.
Joke's on them, we only have 1 ribbon.
Sledge not sticking around for any of this nonsense.
I mean,
Ali also heading up to the to the north side of Marsh, and our runners are almost in lockstep at this point.
Yeah, this is showing off the advantage of bringing that thief along. Like, you are even at the lower levels where the black mage is the second best runner in your party. It's still a good 20% difference in run chance, and Ali being able to just exit these fights as soon as the thief's turn comes up effectively, is doing him a lot of favors right now.
Gonna burn down some scorpions, assuming he can survive it.
Not a bad place. Scorpions, you know, for this particular phase of the game, they're worth a decent amount.
Sledge opting to actually take the exit and get out with the cash.
Yeah, Ali forced to spend a couple extra spell charges, just because Warp's not going to get him all the way out of the cave, so...
And the mucks are unrunnable. Oof. Something you rarely like to see.
That ain't no thing. We got Fade. They ain't
And
got enough
unrunnable
health.
bones.
That ain't no thing. We've got Fade. So... But Ali not really running into any trouble getting out of here, so he is going to be able to save with his, not quite ill-gotten gains, but, you know.
His gotten gains.
Yeah, exactly. He gotten them from, the bad guys, so it's okay. And he is going to burn off an encounter and plunge into the bottom of Marsh Cave, so... Sledge already down at the bottom. We are going to see a canal down here, probably, unless our other loose item is here. And that other loose item would have to be the canoe or the key. Because otherwise we are kind of stuck right now.
I'm almost tempted to put a bit of money on the canoe being down here and this being the go-modiest go-modes seed that we have ever seen.
You know, I gave Dang the pass to roll this because I was like, I've been losing my Oh, that's bad.
That's something you usually don't want to see guarding this chest.
Sledge
Especially when
manages
it's a cabin.
to get out with his white mage in one piece and immediately gets punched in the face by scorpions.
Mm-hmm.
Those are gas Ds with ambush.
Yes, they are. And that's going to be a lot of fun in Temple of Fiends Revisited because that's a Topher tile.
Well,
however, they're also made of gas, and thus Ali walks away with 6,000 EXP on both of his killing machines.
yeah, he jumped from like level 5 to level 6 to level 11 off of that fight. Yeah. Downside is he does not have a lot of heals. Upside is if as soon as he finds the item that he's looking for down here, he gets to leave.
He gets to just peace out. He is going to nuke down this Redbone pack, which is good experience and money all by itself too.
Oh, we have to go to the far upright chest in order to get the value.
Yep.
That's
all right, chat. What's it gonna be? There's the canal. All right.
All right. So yeah, he's got enough charge. He should have enough charges on these two to just warp on out of here and not have to fight a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't.
Oh.
Yeah, he's only got 2 charges on the red mage, so he's going to have to traverse at least 1 floor. I don't know if I would want to cross this floor in particular. I would think maybe warp out of this floor and then run through the middle floor.
I think he has a chainmail on that red mage, so he's not feeling too scared of the scorpions, but doesn't want to mess with all of the all of the nonsense that is on the upper floors. And
Fair.
Both of our runners are out. However, Sledge had to walk away from a lot of money and a ton of experience. So we'll see who comes out of this on top.
Well, it's one of those things, he can make up that experience difference. The main thing that's going to do for Ali, though, is it's going to give him a lot more luxury in terms of taking fights that Sledge may opt out of to conserve resources, where Ali might just be able to go, you know what? I've got an extra 2 fades. Let's just smack this guy in the face real quick.
Yeah, and Ali also has one other bit of information now. he has the information that the gas dragons are basically gas balloons.
That's true. Sledge kind of was forced to run for it and didn't get that information, so...
So, Ali actually could go back, especially since it appears we are going for Danning the Thief, at least for a while, and going for 3-man strats. And if Ali gets some more armor, because those gas dragons appear to have rolled away their... oh, that's Quad X and fast in its French vanilla location, and Quad X way lower.
And as our tracker and restreamer Dang also points out, there was Quake there as well.
Yeah, and but the thing is, because those gas dragons rolled away their damage poison, as they usually do, and they only have like 100 HP or so, once the fighter can take some more hits, you can just jet on down there and smack some dragons around for about 5 minutes, and hit like level 25 plus.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I could see Ali maybe considering that if we get closer to the end game and he feels like he needs a little more experience, but I think already having level 11 on those 2 mages,
Heal 3 and
there's
wall.
A lot less of an impetus.
Heal 3 and wall on level 4 white magic, which Ali is also able to pick up.
Yeah, no, like, Ali came into town with his pockets overflowing with gold, and he is walking away in poverty, but he is also walking away a man with a lot in his pockets still. That metaphor kind of got away from me, but you know what? Whatever. Point being, Ali, at the moment, doesn't need to worry about his... He doesn't need to worry about his levels. He has 2 level 11 mages, and even with the fighter lagging a few levels behind, he's got the armor and the HP needed to keep pace with anything those 2 can survive, so...
Now the question is, aside from turning in the ruby, which both our runners seem to be doing, where do you go from here? Because you know now that you need to find that canoe, but you don't know if it... You know there's one loose item left, but there's now a bunch of checks that you can make that all have a bunch of loose chests and like 3 or 4 incentive checks.
Well, it's one of those things, you're getting 2 incentive items here, and that Oxyale just vastly expanded where you can go look for the other loose item.
And there's also an Excalibur right next to it, so that's going to make promotion look tasty once again.
And Ali, I didn't see what stoned his black mage, but...
It was an ogre. Remember, there are a lot of ogres walking around here, and the ogres have stone touch.
Ah, true. Oh, I thought they had gaze, but either way, I'm curious to see if Ali is going to bother bringing that black mage back for a little while. He accidentally kind of mage up to a good level for the mid-game. And...
Speaking of promotion.
You know...
Dingwu correcting me, the ogres do have glance and not stone touch.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was
still out there.
Yeah, but yeah, so one of those things, right now, Ali can kind of do a 2-man strat, and then just bring that black mage back online when he feels like it. Which is a good way to kind of get that fighter experience that he missed out on by getting taken out by those gas dragons.
Right, and both our runners now have the information about the tail and the Oxyale.
Yeah, so here is the question I have for you then. Earth Cave or Seashore?
Honestly though, here, before I do those 2, I might actually do Ordeals or
You
the
can't.
Waterfall.
You can't. We
Right.
have a canoe.
We don't have a
We do
canoe.
also have Crescent Lake to check.
I would check Crescent Lake, and then if Crescent Lake is still not the canoe, which it has a pretty good chance of being vanilla canoe at this point, I personally would think, then I would actually check the Sea Shrine first, just because of density of chests.
Fair enough. I mean, I would agree. I did actually forget that Crescent Lake exists, but yeah, it's one of those things. I do agree. I think you go check Crescent first, and then you hit the Sea Shrine, not just because of chest density, but proximity.
And yes, the red mages get access to life at level 5, which is a French vanilla position for that spell, but it allows it to be learnable by red mages. So, yeah, this is very much a red mages come up big seed, and starting to look more and more like going for that that all red mages strat might have been the right idea.
I mean, it's one of those things. I still feel like even if you see that nuke 7 minutes into the seed, you still go grab those 4 red mages, because it's just like, yeah, I just lost 7 minutes, but I know that I don't need to do anything in Topher except murder Garland, and I'm just going to destroy everything in my path with extreme prejudice.
You know, Sledge running into a lot of hostile wildlife that forces him to reset. And yeah, I don't quite understand why Sledge is running so much. He's got enough firepower to just turn these trolls into puree.
I think that early, that early wipe in Topher may have made him a little bit skittish about taking some of these fights and the turn order working against him.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, honestly, yeah, I do have to agree with what everyone else is saying. It's a situation where, there is nothing capable of killing you right now. Well, okay, they're very capable of killing you. The only thing is, they're not capable of living long enough to kill you.
Alright, and Sledge is going to immediately bring that fighter back up, because those were unintentional 3-man strats he was running with for a bit there, but he very much wants levels on that fighter so that he can make use of that X-Cal, among many other things.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks like Ali either couldn't get his hands on a soft, which would make sense, or is just taking full advantage, and that is a chime. Okay.
It's a chime, and
So,
now you've got options. And
okay. So you have 3 choices. You are playing the seed space. Which do you do? Do you go back to Earth? Do you make that Sea Shrine play, or do you say, you know what? I'm going to Mirage. I've got the firepower to kill anything that I'm going to run into. I'm going to open all of those boxes, and then I'll figure out what to do after I've opened those boxes and hit level 15 in Mirage.
I go Sky Sea Earth, because yeah, the dive into Mirage is reasonably safe at this point. You can probably burn down things before they can burn you down, unless you run into like a quad chimera pack or something, and you get that exp. You can exit out the instant you are done with Math Room, and then you go to Upper Sea Shrine, and then if you still somehow have not found the canoe, you go to Earth.
All right. Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to do the same thing. Like, it's one of those things. My usual go-to strategy when I'm trying to actually go fast is try to pick up level 15 somewhere before Sky, and then just pick up all the rest of my levels, killing everything in Sky that I can.
Mm-hmm.
But with these spells, it's just like, I don't care what level I am. Do I have more than 2 shots of Fade and Nuke? Then I'm going to Sky. Worst case, I buy a house, I go into Sky, I use up all of my charges, I walk outside and use that house, and now I have more than enough of those charges to go where I want to go in Mirage.
Meanwhile, Ali, I guess, is just gonna leave that Black Mage stoned for a bit.
I mean, I'm not actually sure we saw softs in, because only 2 towns, I think, can roll softs. So it may just be a situation where Ali just cannot find a town with softs to pick Red Mage up, or Black Mage up, but again, with that spell list on that red mage, a 2-man strat is not a dumb idea in the slightest.
Yeah.
Like,
especially when you actually have the knowledge that setting aside these stun touch giants, which is never good to see, that you've got a little pack of gas dragons sitting at the bottom of a marsh, and you are able to eat them like candy. So,
oh yeah, now like
getting your guys caught up more or less is not going to be too difficult. And meanwhile, Sledge running away from a huge stake there.
I mean, it's one of those. He's been showing a very conservative streak with his spells. He's only got one house, so I can understand why he would not necessarily take that fight. He's probably looking at it from the perspective of, if I'm going to, be burning my spells, I want to burn them where I know I'm going to be able to kill things. Because T-Rexes can roll beefy. Question chat. How good? Excessively. Fade at level 1, Nuke at level 2, Life at level 5, Warp at what? Level 2 as well?
Yeah.
Exit at level 3, but White Mage locked. But yeah, no, this spell list is obscene.
This spell list is super duper ultra busted.
Oh, Cure 4 at level 3, I missed that.
Meanwhile, Sledge going with my logic for doing this, although, as he noted, he is being rather less aggressive with his spells than I would be, especially given that you're running into a bunch of easy-to-kill vampires as you go through here.
Oh yeah, nah, it's one of those... Go ahead.
Ali stocking up on some heal potions and pure potions here in Onrak before what I'm assuming is going to be a sea dive.
Yeah, I think considering he's 2-man, this is probably the safer play for him. Okay, he's going 3-man. He's at least going to bring that thief back up, either to take... No, not to take a hit. He is bringing that thief back up to get levels. So... I'm guessing that his plan right now is to get enough levels of that thief to where he'll be on par with the black mage, maybe a little bit higher level so that he's staged to start picking up spells once he goes ninja. Lean more into the fighter red mage combination, but have those other two characters at a good enough level where you can get them up to speed for Topher if you need to.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Ali finding a French vanilla light axe, which is going to be very useful in this dungeon and going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go ahead and toss that on that fighter. I don't think we've actually seen a better weapon right now.
We have not, and that is exactly what Ali did. And meanwhile, Sledge is continuing to pick his way through the Mirage Tower. We are in Math Room. Find a heal helmet, a white shirt, some more promotion gear, a saber, which doesn't do us a whole heck of a lot of good, and it is a strikeout, but that is fine.
Yeah, he still picked up some good experience in there, and that white shirt is going to serve him well going into the sea. A lot of the biggest dangers in sea.
Sledge should really...
I don't blame him for this.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for this. He knows he's got a bit of a trek over to Onrak, and he burned his house earlier, so he doesn't want to... And the encounters around Onrak aren't the worst, but they are some of the strongest overworld encounters in the game and can roll nasty. And, alright, we got an herb. So, fetch quests into fetch quests into fetch quests. Aegis Shield, that's nice. So, Ali going with the check the chests over on the right side of the floor first, and then warp out after opening the 3 boxes over on the slab side second.
Finds a black shirt.
Yeah, Alright, so Sledge is going to be a very happy camper, because I assume he is going to do the same thing that Ali is doing right now.
Meanwhile, those Great Peas have pretty consistent stun, and that is not a good time.
He did have a house. Yeah, he should have taken those fights, but yeah. Now, it is one of those things, like, when you have limited magic restoration options, I can completely get behind the idea of, you know, I'm not necessarily going to take every lucrative fight I can, because, especially in the Mirage Desert, enemies can roll a lot of health.
Yeah.
So, you can very easily wind up spending all those spells for nothing, and then you do run into something like, you know, if those Gurpedes were, say, unrunnable with Stun Touch, that's where you kind of want to be able to go, you know what, I'm gonna burn, like, 3 spells right to live.
Yeah, I'm just going to set these centipedes on fire, and I'm going to continue living. But Dingwu,
Exactly.
meanwhile, is bringing up a fairly good point in that on Ali's side, you don't take a whole lot of chess at this point. You've got the tail, you've got the floater. As soon as you find that canoe, you can promote, and you've got an end-game weapon on your fighter, and you've got the in-game magic mostly
Yeah.
in hand at this point. So you're
Yeah,
pretty much in
but
go
you
mode.
know what you have on that fighter, though? Still wearing
Chainmail?
iron armor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, Ali upgraded to iron, but yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think he's necessarily going to go for too many super out of Matoya's crystal. I guess we're still going with this.
We're doing the quest in reverse now.
Mm-hmm. If Matoya gives us the crown, I will laugh. Headphone warning. But yeah, nah, it's one of those things where, like, I know there are a lot of runners who are confident enough to say, you know what, I'll take iron armor and an Aegis shield going into Topher, with a knight, but...
But meanwhile,
I don't know if that's a good idea.
yeah. But meanwhile, Dingwu bringing up that there's more fetch questing for the canoe, but in Ali's position, I would actually not be minding that. In either of our runners' position, I would not be minding that too much, because more fetch quest items on what you're certain is a chain to get the canoe is more key items that you know have to be picked up, and thus you know that you're just racking up. You have to be racking up these EXP bonuses.
Yeah, nah, I mean, it's one of those things. The other thing is, you know your opponent has to do this too. So, yes, you are losing time, but you're not losing time relative to the only person whose timer matters.
Yeah. And Ali having to remember that you cannot talk to people across tables in this game.
Well, no. You have to talk to them across counters. And yeah, that's the only thing. You can talk, but only if you're looking at them from the side.
Mm-hmm.
But, anyway, Ali has his canoe. He has been carrying around that floater since the beginning of the seed. We are about to see this man make a, trip over to get his wings. Now, the unfortunate thing for Ali is he is almost certainly going to miss out on that one. Unless he decides, you know what, I want to go to tower right now. There's just no way he's checking greater than less than room.
Yeah.
Sledge,
Yeah, he would
meanwhile...
probably miss out on that white shirt, which is a shame, but I think he'll still be okay.
Sledge, meanwhile, making an interesting decision. He's still opening boxes here in C after finding the Earth. I'm pretty sure he's aware that he's got both of his loose items, so I wonder if this is a play he thinks Ali's not going to make, and he's hoping it'll come up with some good armor or like a Mazo.
Well, he's also discovered that the monsters here in the Sea Shrine will waste your time a little bit with those Invis 2s, but can otherwise be blown up fairly safely and won't try any crazy shenanigans against you. So this is also a good opportunity to do a little bit of a walking grind while you try and find a little bit of extra loot.
Yeah, I can't blame him for that. It's just an interesting choice. Because this floor between the entrance and mermaids is, it's not a great floor. It's kind of a trash floor. But, you know, I guess if you're thinking in terms of just, yeah, let's go ahead and take a few fights and pick up some experience, that's not the worst thing. You know, I've seen a few runners who will opt to do something like Sky 2, even. Just because it's free real estate, basically.
And it's a lot of items. Sky 2 and Sky 3 are some of the most treasure-dense floors in the entire game.
Yeah. And yeah, dang, Ali worried me there too, but I knew he knew better than to land there, so I wasn't super worried.
And we have a promotion.
Yeah, Sledge looks like he is going to go ahead and try to take out Kraken. He does have a Bane sword and the Bane spell, so he could pull this out.
And he has a whole bunch of nukes.
Okay, yes, he also has a whole bunch of nukes, but, you know... Okay, yeah, Kraken's in defense is kind of crappy. Okay, yeah, fine. He can just murder Kraken with pure firepower, but... Either way, Ali has his airship, he has already promoted, and now he is going to steal everything the dragons haven't bothered to tie down.
Which is what I would also be doing in this particular situation. Finds an Opal Gauntlet, which he can now use.
Yeah, and until he gets his hands on his solid armor to strap onto that knight. Giant sword, very good for his red mage. Or his... Yeah, he's going to strap the Bane onto the ninja and then hand off the giant sword to... Okay, no, he's going to... I'm going to stop trying to predict what he's doing.
Well, I mean, you don't even need to strap a sword onto that red mage.
You don't, however, you know, it's a situation where sometimes you don't want to waste the spell. Sometimes, you know, like 50 damage a red mage swinging a sword is going to do is enough to end a fight.
Sometimes it's nice to just save the spell charge.
And we even get a wizard stick so that carry 2 is not going to be a problem. Or not carry 2, carry 1 is not going to be a problem.
Now, that is a question. Now that we have the airship, do you go ahead and check the... do you go ahead and go for the volcano and its incentive item immediately? Because we are now 3 items off from full go mode.
I think you do make the volcano play, especially if you're thinking in terms of, do I have the gear I need to end this?
It's also worth pointing out, Sledge found something that Ali would certainly like to find, because on the left side of floor 3 of Sea Shrine is a katana. Ali has not checked that position, and depending on whether or not he go modes Sea Shrine, he may not find that.
Well, it's one of those things, it's going to depend on when he does Sea Shrine. If he decides to go ahead and do Sea Shrine like it looked like he was contemplating, he may find that, because that's not necessarily a free chest, but it's a chest that you can easily route in, that, you know, it's an extra pickup for very little risk.
And also, she's pointing out, we have found the Vorpal.
Okay, well that's...
Behold it.
I mean, it's one of those things we haven't really found any... in the absence of Mazza, I like having a Vorpal handy for Chaos. Just because that's gonna do a little more work than the X-Cal on him. But, yeah, as far... The thing that I saw Sledge pick up that I think Ali would be really interested in is that Opal armor. Because he found a suit of that over in the southeast corner of Sharknado floor.
Yeah. And Ali making fools of all of us and going for ice instead.
I mean, I don't hate the play. He's got warp. This is a very fast check. Even if he feels like checking the lower floors, he still has warp. It's not going to be very hard for him to get.
He has warp and
exit.
I hadn't quite.
Well, he doesn't have exit.
Right.
Exit was white. Yeah, exit was in that second slot of level 3, so that is not ever going to be accessible to Al. So, but he's got enough shots of warp to where that is not a pressing concern for him. And he has that black shirt for his black. He's in a pretty good armor position for the characters that, need to live long enough to get warped out.
Mm-hmm. And also, Ali is finding some unrunnables that he probably doesn't mind seeing that much because he has a few characters who could still use some levels, mainly that ninja. And that is another point. Yeah. Leaving that ninja dead for so long, pre-promotion, means that now that Ali has promoted, the levels and the spell charges for that ninja, specifically the nuke charges, are going to come nice and fast.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about when he decided to Dan him was, that was probably like a decision partially made out of convenience and partially made to make sure that he would be able to get that ninja online at the lowest possible level.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of unrunnable spooky fights here in Ice Cave, though. I imagine Ali isn't completely upset about that, but is probably quite annoyed at the fact that this is taking as long as it is, especially if this doesn't pan out at all.
Well, he went ahead and swapped that light axe onto that ninja to, because right now, at the levels on that ninja, that, being able to cast Harm 2 is, well, never mind. Is not going to happen because he is a statue.
It shouldn't be a statue for too long, though. Yep. Alright, now we get the cheeky, warp strat check that is not possible to do in the vanilla game because, logically, you cannot have warp when you do this cave.
Mm-hmm. But it's one of those neat things that the randomizer kind of revealed is just like, oh, I can just do this.
Warp back, yeah. Meanwhile, Sledge getting into a fight with some calamari that has damage poison. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is looking fairly grim on Sledge's side.
Yeah, this is a and that Kraken's got enough absorbed to make it that where that fighter is not really helping. Although he did eat a punch for that red mage, which I am sure that is appreciated by that dapper young man.
But not quite enough, and Sledge is just gonna peace out from that and say, I'm gonna take care of that later. And unfortunately, I was watching the Kraken fight and missed what Ali got from our Dark Elf-shaped speed bump.
Well, let's go check our handy-dandy note.
That was a key. Alright. So that is going to be 2 items off from Go mode for Ali. And I don't think Ali is really going to check any of those keylock chests now that we've found both of our loose items.
He still might be tempted to look in, like, dwarves, because...
That is again,
he has a lot of things going for him, but equipment is not one of them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sledge is going to finally get his hands on that canoe and is finally going to be able to promote, which I'm sure he will be very happy about.
Oh,
very
we have cheap steel armor. Yeah, okay, never mind. Ali is probably completely fine with this situation.
Yeah, aside from like maybe finding a ribbon or two on the way, you've got a fairly low-level wall spell. It's time to find the rod and the cube and just hit the gas, and throw on the yellow beat.
But yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Steel armor, not great in the face of touch attacks because, spoiler
Because
warning, steel armor is hilariously heavy and you are not going to dodge a blessed thing in it.
nope. But if your goal is to get some absorb, there are only like 3 or 4 armors in the entire game that are as good or better, and unless you find it in the armory right here, I don't think you take your foot off the pedal for a hot second to actually bother finding it.
No, I absolutely agree. Yeah, Ali doing a little bit of quick redecorating, armoring up that ninja, going ahead and handing off a few pieces of armor to the red mage, obliterating these mucks in a couple as soon as his turn comes around.
Mm-hmm.
There it
and
is.
also, these mucks can barely even touch him, like, already. I'm still waiting for Ali to just take a very quick trip down to the bottom of Marsh again and just transform all 4 of his light warriors into level 25 gods inside of 5 minutes. Because he can easily do that now.
Yeah, we might see that, but yeah, no, you are correct, Cheese. I do not believe that steel armor pops up naturally, although technically you could argue it does in the form of fire and ice armor, but
that's what I was getting at. The fire and ice armors have equal absorb to the steel armor, in addition to having their elemental resistance.
yeah, but much better evasion penalty, by which I mean it's like 10 to 1, if not better.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like, yeah, with steel armor on, yeah, if anything has a nasty touch attack, you're probably picking that fighter up off the ground. But outside of that, you don't need to worry about a blessed thing for the rest of the scene in terms of damage.
Mm-hmm.
That knight has more than enough absorb now. Especially with an ice shield handy for that ninja. Because that's going to help that ninja eat hits.
Yep. Ali forgets that there's a spike tile there, but
I don't think he
it's all
forgot.
okay.
I don't think he forgot. I think he was, because that's the first Agma tile, I believe, that you get to see. So, you know, he basically was just poking his head in there to see, is this worth fighting? Because that's a fairly free spike tile to get to.
And yeah, Ali is skipping the out of the way chests and is really just grabbing these chests that are on the way to carry in the hopes of finding maybe another ribbon or a dragon armor or something.
Yeah.
Thor hammer up in Gaia for the bottle turn-in. We are probably also going to see what the La Finish have for us today. And a French vanilla red dragon up here guarding the other chest on the way to carry.
I mean, no, that's just a wild red dragon. He was was under the chests. So no, that's just a random encounter. So today you learned that you can run to red dragons on this floor.
No, I've actually done that before. I just forgot briefly.
Yeah.
Not even checking the other spike tile chest, just going to hit the gas and go straight for the incentive item and carry.
Yeah, well, like I said, I believe that is the same spike tile that the first room on this floor has. I'm sure someone in chat will correct me on that, but I think that first room has an Agama spike. So.
And it's the opal bracelet in Lefane. So both of those checks are comparatively worthless for go mode.
Yeah, which is unfortunate news for Sledge, because that increases the chances that Ali is going to find his Go Mode items without ever bothering with either of those hikes.
The
Question.
canoe joke came off of the herb, which we found in the sea shrine, which we then had to turn in for the crystal, and then Matoya was kind enough to give us a canoe.
Yeah. So. Huh, where was the power bonk? Wait, we have notes. Doesn't matter. Dang, didn't write down where the power bonk was. Oh, it must have been in the volcano chest. Duh. Okay. Never mind. I know how to logic.
Well, we have a power bonk and a pair of nukes, so I don't think that this carry is going to last too long.
Alright, but we do know
It
now...
does have poison touch.
Yeah, we do know now, though, that we need to do Waterfall and we need to do Ordeals.
Yes.
Because...
I'm a little surprised that Ali put those two checks off as long as he did, but we are going to go there now and get some pretty free items along the way, and that will be Get Go Mode, and then Ali really is just going to absolutely hit the burners.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm not surprised Ali hasn't done those checks. You can't do either of them without the canoe. And as soon as he got the canoe, he was doing a lot of checks that you really want the airship for. It's one of those things, he will, he'll probably roll all of that into his Sea Shrine checking. That's just the efficient way to route a situation like this.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Ali getting that friendly reminder that those two steps between the Fiend and the Altar can have a random encounter.
But I think his health was good enough to where he wasn't worried about any of the fights he could get into on that floor.
Yep.
Life 2 Red Wizard learnable.
Yep.
So yeah, this was the seed to bring 4 Red Wizards. You miss out on Temper, but honestly, you have a power bonk, you're fine.
You've got pretty much all the powering up for Chaos that you could use, and this assumes Chaos doesn't roll his MDef a bit low, and you can't just
well, he won't roll MDef.
Right.
Yeah, MDef is the one stat. MDef and Morale are the 2 stats that do not get rolled. And even Morale has a toggle. MDef does not, because if MDef rolls too much higher on these characters, they're impervious to damage spells, basically. And if it rolls much lower, then
boom.
Yeah, then you just brat Chaos and call it a day. So, yeah, it's one of those things. MDef is basically the one true constant. Everything in this game will always have the same MDef.
Meanwhile, Lit 2 on spell level 7. It kind of breaks your heart to see it sometimes.
Yeah.
Even if you have level 1 Fade.
I mean, I'm still a little bit upset that, all those really good, level 3 damage spells land on the same level as Nuke, so we're never seeing them.
Yep. Meanwhile,
Pro rings and gold bracelets for a combined value of 49,000 gold.
Ali going to do a little bit of last minute shopping. Sledge continuing to run away from stakes.
He might just be Team Tyro. I didn't even think to ask on that front. He may just consider Tyros and T-Rex his friend, not food.
Alright, and Sledge getting into the randomized pillar maze here, and finding sorcerers with okay. We did not see that the last time that we
What did they have? I wasn't looking.
Damage poison.
Oh!
Damage poison on sorcerers that can show up in packs of 5 or more. Good times.
I've said previously on comms, Sorcerers are among my least favorite enemies to bump into.
Yeah, all that trauma from the original game, and then they either roll to be absolute pussycats in
Am I
FFR.
the only person who never actually had problems with the sorcerer's death touching him?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. No, it's not even trauma for the original game. It's just the way that their stats work out. They're annoying to take down because they have really good M-Def and generally enough health to where you have to waste 2 spells to kill one. Their resistances could pretty much guarantee it. And so, like, if they do roll something annoying, you're going to see it, because they're going to live through your first attempt to murder them all. But yeah, no...
But that's just when you make a second attempt, and then watch them all fall over together.
Oh yeah, no, if you get turn order on them with the party that Sledge has, that problem goes away. Ali does at least do the Lefane run, and he's probably going to do the Fairy run as well, so he will... so Sledge will not have lost too much from doing those 2 checks.
Also, mummies have stun.
Of course they do. You love to see it, and by love to see it, I mean, safe mummy's flag win. But yeah, Dangwoo, our tracker and restreamer, who I am not bullying Dang, pointing out in chat that stun is a power word spell, so if you do not have resistance to status element effects, and
you're gonna get stunned.
Well, and you have 300 or less HP, which Sledge absolutely does not have more than 300 HP right now. Yeah, you're taking that stun, no save, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Meanwhile, Sledge finding another Topher Dragon grind in the Frost Dragons, and they have a bit more HP than the Gas Dragons do, but Sledge is not going to grind it directly, but will happily take the EXP.
Mm-hmm. So that gets us our rod. So all we need to do now is go to the waterfall, pick up the vanilla cube, which I just realized it's vanilla.
And then it'll be Ali in go mode first, because Ali is giving up that fairy check.
Well, he might do that on his way to Sky or something similar. But yeah, he's not going to be in go mode yet because he still has to go do ordeals.
Yeah. We, as commentary, will be in no mode here momentarily.
Oh no, we're already in no mode. We know that has to be the cube. It can't be anything else. We have opened every other incentive location. So, this must be the cube. Grindylicious in chat thinking Ali may have done Fairy first, so...
Yeah, it's a little hard for us poor commentators to actually keep track at this point, because these two runners are seriously just throwing the nitro in the tank and inertial drifting through every single corner that they find. Like, this seed is going incredibly fast at this point.
Space, I'm getting the feeling that you've been rewatching Initial D lately.
No comment.
I'm just saying. But, I mean, I've also had gas stuck in my head since you referred to it earlier, so, you know.
Then I did my job correctly.
I mean, I'm more of a Knight of Fire guy myself, but...
Meanwhile, the loose chests in Waterfall don't have a whole heck of a lot for us. And we do have that cube, and Sledge is coming up on... Oh, Sledge will not be in go mode, though. You will notice that Sledge has not found one thing.
You are correct. Nah, you're right. He's never been to Ice Cave, so he doesn't have the crown to get the key, so...
Sledge is gonna have to take a trip to the Ice Cave and say hello to a whole bunch of sorcerers and undead, and I would imagine... Oh no, Sledge might be a little hesitant to actually make that ice dive.
I think it's... Nah, there's no reason to be hesitant about it. You've got one sorcerer. Like, the sorcerer formation in Ice Cave is literally just a sorcerer, or two.
Yeah.
That's far less scary. Even if their magic options are. But yeah, Ali taking a few fights here at the Waterfall Trap Tower, because that is Agma and our giant city. So that's going to get him up to level 20. And Ali, if I'm recalling correctly, is in the same school of thought that I belong to of, you know what? I'm willing to gamble at a lower level Topher dive than is probably prudent, and just assume that, you know, I can work my way around anything that the dungeon throws at me. Which he's still going to pick up a few more levels getting through the rest of the game, but I could basically see him saying, yeah, 19 to 20 with 3 dungeons to clear. Yeah, I've got enough levels to where I'll be ready for Topher by the time I get there.
Humpy McSaddle's pointing out that he would totally go for that Agama grind in Waterfall. And that is a fairly good point, but we have to keep in mind that Ali knows that there are really easy to kill gas dragons on the wizard tile down in Marsh Cave. I still suspect that if Ali wants to do any more focused grinding, it's going to be down there, because all those gas dragons do is melee swing, and they have 110 HP of that. They roll real low on the HP.
I think it might be closer to 150, because I think I saw a couple of shots for 124 on them, but...
I saw one die to 118 damage.
Alright. But yeah, so it's one of those things either way. I don't think we're going to see Ali do any more standing grinding. We're going to see him take fights that are worth as he is running along, but the only reason we will see him go back for something like that gas D tile is if he runs into a stiff brick wall in Topher.
Yeah.
And even then, it would have to be a very stiff brick wall.
Yep. And our runners are now virtually in sync going through the sea shrine.
But on different parts of the encounter table. Interesting. I'm not sure which one of them hasn't been power cycling, but one of them clearly hasn't. But yeah, it's one of those things, with the party as it is, I could respect someone going for the grind here, but I personally would just think to myself, you know what? Level 24 is excessive with this setup. The only thing I'm really hurting for is a second Temper Caster. But even then, I've got Power Bonk. That second Temper Caster is just speeding up the inevitable if I can get those white shirt shots off. If I'm Sledge, Ali does have a little bit more to worry about. He doesn't have the white shirt. But, the trade-off is he's got the experience, I think, on Sledge right now.
And yeah, as I wondered a bit earlier, Ali is sort of powering through, with a little bit of side drift, powering through the sea shrine, and is skipping both the Vorpal and the Katana.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. He's got a Sun Sword on that ninja. It's not going to have the crit power that the Katana has, but it'll do work. It will definitely hit hard enough, and with enough swings, you don't really need the Katana. You can make do.
Meanwhile, the sea trolls are wasting Ali's time by using sleep on him.
Well, sleep and I think the lobsters might have stun touch.
And Ali says nuts to all this.
I mean, yeah, no, you, lobsters are awful at all times in all places.
So remember, viewers, whenever you see a lobster in your supermarket's seafood section, destroy it immediately.
I mean, it depends. If there's a troll working behind the counter, then you might need to get a little bit concerned. But otherwise, you know, those lobsters are restrained. Their ambush rate is way down. I don't think you really need to worry about it too much.
And on top of the poison breath, it looks like Kraken also rolled blizzard breath. Well, that is a very spicy squid.
Yeah, but he is not long for this world. We have an X-Cal-wielding knight and 3 waves of nuke going out. I don't think Kraken 1 is going to survive this round, and if he does, we have bigger things to worry about. Yeah, we have bigger things to worry about, but that Quad X is the right call. Yeah, if Kraken didn't go down to that, he was going to be Quad Xable at that point.
Yeah. And both of our runners managed to take down the big scary squid.
Alright. Ali disarmoring his ninja. I think he's going to try and dan him in Sky here so he can go ahead and rack up the extra experience for that black mage and that red mage. But they have both lit their water orb. Ali still enjoys a 1 orb lead in the form of the fire orb. However, presuming that Sledge go modes Volcano, which he almost certainly will, that's really not that big a time gap between the two of them. Yeah. Sledge will lose like 3 minutes to Volcano, if that. So this is still a fairly tight race. All it's going to take is Ali seeing Warmech and Sledge not to make this even real quick.
Yep, and it looks like Sledge is either heading straight for the volcano or is heading to ice. I would imagine, yeah, it's gonna be pretty much go mode volcano.
Yeah, he is hoping that key is going to be at the end of following the volcano incentive. We know it's not. We know that that's going to give him his power bonk, though, which I am sure he will be very pleased to see.
Yes.
But
and meanwhile, Ali is about to find the rod and is going to be entering go mode within the next 5 minutes.
If he doesn't have that rod by 1:14 on the clock, I'll be surprised.
Sledge still bothering to check Volcano Armory, probably still looking for another ribbon, which I can't entirely blame him for, given all the nastiness that we've run into so far. He's probably anticipating a rather grim-looking Temple of Fiends.
He did skip out on some of the stuff he saw in Sharknado, so he may also be thinking, like, you know, I've got to find something to toss on this night.
Mm-hmm.
Which
is gonna come up short for him, unfortunately. And he finds the Topher Quad Earth tile there.
And he will have none of it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ali is going to... Yeah, he is not going to have very much trouble in here. He has 3 characters who know how to cast Warp. And, yes, one of them is dead, technically, but, you know... If push came to shove and Ali really needed to, be able to warp again, he can just bring the ninja back to life and have him cast Warp.
Mm-hmm. We can use the ninja as a warp bot.
Exactly. And then you just let him die again. It is a flawless plan. I can see
It's the circle
no
of life.
downside.
Meanwhile,
I mean,
the
aside from
zombie
the
beast had
resentment.
frost.
Yeah, but that's why you're trying to hang levels on these characters so that things like Frost are no longer scary. Because we are probably going to see the Oh! You know, that's surprisingly, on theme. Good job, Randomizer. One monster has a skill that makes sense. Alright, so Ellie's got about a minute before I made a liar, so... get those bless RNGs in chat that he, can get through this. Yes, that's completely self-serving. What are you going to do about it?
Alright. The Light Axe making quick work of this unrunnable Geist pack, and Ali is going to be through this and to the rod here in pretty much the next 30 seconds.
No, Allie, what? Why are you getting a silver dagger? You're not Canuck. Oh my god.
Must equip stabbing implement.
Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna take this W. That was senseless. I'm not gonna take this L. That was a senseless equip. He could have had the rod by 114 if he didn't do that.
Womp womp.
Dangwoo, put in the tracker notes. Ask Ali why he did that.
Must stab were-tigers.
No! No, you have nuke! You have Bane! If you don't want to waste the nuke charges, just Bane the tigers. They have lungs, it works fine.
All I'm hearing is that they have lungs that can be stabbed.
Okay, yes, but you know who you stab those lungs with? Anyone but the Black Mage with his weak, spindly wrists.
Meanwhile, Sledge is actually checking the far end of Volcano and coming up pretty much flat for it.
Yeah, I'm wondering... He must be wanting a ribbon.
Given all the trouble he's been having with, like, special attacks and whatnot, yeah, I fully expect that he is hungry for a little bit more elemental resistance at this point. Meanwhile, just gonna nuke away some frost dragons. Nothing here. Alright, and at 1:15 and some change, AliGerBrap has entered Go mode, and
Oh yeah.
now has everything he needs to close this seed out.
Yep, he just needs to,
Get back to the airship, and then it's gonna be beating up a skeletal old man and a 5-headed dragon.
And we are almost certainly going to see Tia first. But he's not so much in Go mode that he isn't going to kill this T-Rex real fast. You didn't miss a train wreck. Ali stopped to equip a silver dagger while, Yeah, Ali stopped to equip a silver dagger after I made a call that he didn't, Yeah, after I made a call that he wouldn't need that much time to get through a dungeon, and, yeah, it made me wrong, and I was mad. Because
And
I'm
Ali
petty.
not bothering to pick up the ninja here. And still bothering to check the chests in Mirage.
Well, that's good for him. He's gonna find a white shirt.
This is true. Might still be looking for that specifically. And thank God these nightmares and badmen are runnable. It is one of the most annoying things in the entire randomizer when unrunnable lands on these poison-spewing nightmares. My God.
Okay, did everything just get poisoned today?
Possibly.
I mean, it is one of those things Yeah, we could actually be seeing the Medusa script in action.
Possibly. And yep, Ali is going to be thoroughly unimpressed with that first floor, and is just going to reset out of that mess of poison and not even bother having to res the Black Mage.
That's right, the white shirt was on the second floor, so he may not pick it up.
Well, we'll see. Might still go for it, because this is 10 chests, and it's not that far out of the way, especially when you're in go mode at 117 or so. Like, you're probably still feeling reasonably confident that you're at least doing okay. Like, you know that your opponent has the capacity to do this as well, but if you feel like you've been fairly efficient, as I imagine Ali feels like he's been fairly efficient, you probably think that you have the couple seconds to, well, or no you don't. Rip the white shirt.
I mean, I imagine it's hard to rip the white shirt. It's a fairly resilient piece of armor.
Mm.
Yeah, I was going to say...
This carry fight from Sledge is probably not too in question here.
Yeah, Dang preemptively counting Sledge's chickens before they've hatched.
Interesting, though. Ali is still going for the chests in the first floor of the fortress, despite not checking the second floor of...
It's a much faster check, and the enemies are more worth the extra steps. Like,
Right.
he just spot an eye right there. Now, it's... You see that play a lot. Like, if you are in absolute go mode, you'll skip those, but if you're in a... I'm kinda in go mode, but there's a couple things I'd really like. Checking those right side chests is not an uncommon play, just because you get those extra fights.
Yeah. I'm still not sure how much I personally like that play, because you're either still looking for gear or you're not, in my opinion. Like, if you want to go, it's time to go. Otherwise, you are really running the risk of leaving something behind that you actually really want and you need for your party build.
Well, no, okay, here's the thing. There are shades of ready to go. There is the, yeah, I can probably do this tier. There's the, oh, I absolutely am going to stomp Topher tier. And there is the, oh, I'm going to have to get so lucky tier. Ali, from what I can tell, is in the, yeah, I can probably do this tier. So you still check some of the greed chests because, you know, if you luck into it, you're not losing that much time. The benefit of getting those Sky 1 fights outweighs the extra steps you're taking. The downside is low for a potential high upside. But it's not so much of a need that you're going to go drastically out of your way.
And Ali once again running into those poison-spewing sorcerers.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is yeah, the extra fights he's picking up along the way, every level he gains, it's making those sorcerers just that little bit less of a threat. And we know we're not going to have to deal with them once we get to Temple of Fiends, so, you know, he'll get through this. He'll heal up, and, you know, we'll probably see 3 more Sorcerer packs on the Bridge of Destiny, because that's what it likes to do to people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's got the levels on this party. He'll be fine.
There's
Even
a lot
without
of
that
tier
white
4s
shirt.
used, though. We haven't actually seen what Tia can do yet. Stun goes out, does not land on anything at all. And Sledge having to hack through 100 pokey ghosts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we just had a sorcerer run in terror from Ali's knight, so,
Also, McSaddles, extremely same in terms of being a bad runner. I am right there with you, bro.
I don't think it's a bad runner thing. Like, I think it's just a difference in philosophy, because I'm a terrible runner, but I would still go, you know what? I'm willing to give this a shot with Ali's current setup.
And
I-
Sledge making, I guess, a check on what the tile down here is before, or actually going to bother checking the I guess we missed him actually doing the book trick and picking up the crown.
he did it. But yeah, he's gonna go ahead and check some of these chests down here.
Quad Grey Worms. And Ali getting a number of Bridge of Destiny fights and getting more than one level for his trouble.
Yeah. Now, in my case, Humpy McSaddles, it's a situation where I personally am a berserker by nature. So, any situation where I can just rip and tear until it is done, that's my comfort zone. Careful planning is something that, you know, I kind of just do in advance, and then when I actually have to execute, it's just, yeah, I'm just going to fight until there is nothing left to fight.
Subtlety is for other people.
Exactly. Exactly. Look, y'all have heard the volume of my voice when I do these things. I am not a subtle person. Other things that aren't subtle. How badly Ali just beat the crap out of Tia 1.
Yeah, that was a Tia 1 that did not have terribly too much in the tank. Because I'm pretty sure that all of Tia 1's breath weapons got sorted onto other monsters.
You're not wrong.
Alright, well, that is... Ali is stopping off to restock and pick up some white magic for that night.
He wants that fade.
Pick up that fade, and also fog too. I don't hate this pickup.
No. Like, it's one of those things, he ain't opening a single blessed thing in Earth Cave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he might open the vampire chest. Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah, like that is the only box in Earth Cave that he's opening. He knows at this point that he is going to need to lean on his spells for defenses.
Picking up the ice too, just because we can. Probably gonna pick up a Cure 4 for that night. Oh yeah. And also going to pick up... you can't actually pick up a level 4 white magic for a night, Ali. Remember that.
If he still has an open slot on that red wizard, though, he might consider grabbing it for him. It's not great, it's not ideal, but it's something.
Mm-hmm. And also picking up more Quad X in general, which I approve of. I think some runners and some viewers even kind of undervalue Quad X, and I can understand why, because in the vanilla game, it is a terrible spell for the position it is in.
Yeah, no, Quad X at level 8, not fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I would argue even then it still has its merits if you are able to cast level 8 spells, because outside of Chaos, nothing that you need to care about in Temple of Fiends Revisited is going to resist it. So
Right.
it is a very good, I just need to get out of this fight panic button.
Mm-hmm. The problem is that it shares... because of the way that the Square A team sort of squished down the top end of the Dungeons and Dragons spell list, which bumped Power Word Kill from, which is what Quad X is, from level 9 to level 8. It shares a spell level with a spell that is very capable of doing 300 damage anyway.
Not against the Fiend refights. Basically, once you're past Lich 1, all of them have the kind of M defense that can make Nuke not do more than 200 damage.
This is true.
Yeah, like, it is one of those things where, it's not necessarily a completely 100%, you know, this is the strat. But it is one of those things. There are situations where Quad X is the better move over
Right.
Nuke, just because if you're confident that you're going to get the kill, that they're within 300 of death, Quad X will confirm the kill, whereas Nuke has a chance of not actually finishing them off.
Right. But what I was getting at is that when it gets bumped down in spell level a bit, Quad X becomes a lot more attractive, especially if you have
Mhm.
more than one person who can cast it. Because if you can get it fairly early, like it was in Elfland, you know, on a level 4 spell slot, there is not much outside of undead who in any creatures sort of south of the northern continents who can even survive getting quad X, like even with the, the randomization of HP levels.
Oh, absolutely. I have definitely played Seeds where I've literally just, you know, my
Use quad
mage's
X to delete things.
yeah, my mage's primary single target offense was just quad Xing things for the first like, you know, half hour of the Seed.
Oh, meanwhile, specters have Blizzard and are willing to spam that nonsense.
Well, they're dead now,
Okay,
so who cares? I
it's
mean, they
true.
were dead to begin with, so they're like they're double dead now.
Hmm.
They ain't here no more. There we go.
And we are actually bothering to resurrect the ninja this time, and not
Yeah.
even bothering with the Earth Fort chests, which is unsurprising.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things, I don't blame Ali. He didn't exactly go out of his way to make that ninja survive things, but anything that doesn't kill the ninja um, only helps his party going into Topher.
Yeah, and yeah, uh, uh, C. Grifter pointing out that uh, d- despite all the route divergence and whatnot, the two winners are now pretty close in lockstep. Although Sledge still has to do air, it
Yeah,
has to be remembered. He is now officially a full dungeon behind Ali, and as soon as Ali runs over a speed bump here, which I don't think is going to take even a single turn, then Ali is going to be ready for Topher.
yep, and there
Oh,
goes Lich, so,
it is a little bit funny how the fiend bosses in the original release of Final Fantasy One just have so little base HP. Like Lich is the most infamous example by far, but especially if you have some of the fixes from the Final Fantasy Randomizer turned on, and you play sort of the improved vanilla version that's on the website. Uh, it is surprising how fast you can melt even folks like Tiamat, and even in like the game that shipped, uh, Tiamat does not have the kind of staying power that you might expect for a boss in Tiamat's sort of story position and progression position in the game. 1,000 HP is not a hell of a lot for a fully Flying Fortress kitted out party to hack through.
yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things, I think some of it comes down to sort of where the developers thought the players would be,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, like, what kind of levels they would have getting into these fights, um, getting into these dungeons.
And one also has to wonder if maybe a little bit of that wasn't done to try and cover for the fact that they didn't have time to fix all of the buffing bugs and whatnot that were present in the original release, which
Hmm.
are fixed in the Final Fantasy Randomizer.
Yeah, the fact that you can temper yourself up for any given fight does make those HP totals a lot less intimidating.
Mm-hmm. Which is also why, of course, the Swiss round flags have the potential to have the bosses roll significantly higher HP totals than they would have in the base game.
Yeah, I believe I called a match last night where we saw a Chaos that if he didn't roll max health of like 4,600 under these flags, he was within 100 HP of it.
Yes, and I've also seen carries that rolled close to carry twos that rolled close to max HP and max attack.
Ugh, that's just rude. Cause yeah, that's the thing. Like, carry 2 doesn't, I think, get enough respect. Like,
oh yeah.
It's one of those things, yeah, she can go down real easy, but she is still sporting one of the highest MDefs in the game, and can hit really hard if she feels like it. But speaking of things that hit hard, Germeduses. Speaking of things that die really easy, Germeduses.
Speaking of things that are EXP pinatas, and I'm a little sad we didn't find a grind tile with them, Germeduses.
They do have gaze, though.
With at least 2 Fade Newcasters, still not even remotely a threat.
Oh yeah, no, they are gonna go down super easy. So, Ali at least did get his red mage to the point where he can take a nuke to the face and survive.
Mm-hmm.
And since that red mage is our source of life magic, that's a very good thing.
And the speed bump goes down once again. Rolled pretty much its standard HP, which is pitiful even on the refight.
Mm-hmm. You know, the philosophy of Earth Last that a lot of runners adhere to, that gets extra depressing from Lich's perspective. Because, like, you know, these guys show up, murder the crap out of you in the future, travel back in time to when you were in your prime, and immediately do it again from their perspective. And it's just like, man, Lich has kind of a crappy 30 minutes from like, these guys' perspective.
And yeah, Drumboard is bringing up a good point. Like, it usually in the sort of flavor of fantasy that Dungeons and Dragons inspired stuff is, which, as we talked about, Final Fantasy 1 very much is. It takes a while to reach Lichdom, and apparently, like 2,000 years ago, you know, Lich was already a Lich. So
yeah, I think the real question that Drumbordist is asking is, why isn't Lich an Archlich by the time the Warriors of Light get to him?
Yeah, like, why isn't he a 2,000 HP, like, you know, absolute murder machine?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a very good point. But by that same logic, you know, why isn't Carrie a more powerful form of Fiend? I mean, she is already a Merilith, that's pretty high ranking, but, like, she's had 2,000 years. She very easily could have promoted to, like, I think it's a Pit Fiend.
No, it would be a Valor, because a Merilith is a demon, and...
Okay, thank you, Spade.
Not a devil.
I never keep my fiends straight.
Or am I getting that wrong? Let's find out.
Alright, yeah, you look that up while Ali makes his way to Kraken in Sledge, proceeds to make Tiamat no longer a problem.
Yes, a Merilith is a Tanari demon, and so it is chaotic and would promote into a Valor.
Alright, yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things where, like, no, y'all are raising an excellent point. Like, Kraken at least makes sense for kind of being consistent, in that, you know, it's basically just a sea monster.
And it's a sea monster that's packing nuclear weapons.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things when you consider the half-life of nuclear materials, you know, it's very likely that Kraken's arsenal just wasn't very useful by the time you get to him in the Sea Shrine. Um,
Also, chat, in case you can't tell, we are being very silly on stream right now.
I mean, Week 1 Leggy and I had a debate over whether or not the fiends are actually the bad guys, so,
Well, with the way Ali is sort of tearing through them, one has to wonder. Now, let's see how much Tiamat 2 has in the tank, because so far this has been a very gentle Topher.
I mean, that ninja died once. Actually, no, that ninja died in Earth, didn't he? Like, that ninja hasn't actually died in Topher.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Power bonk, temper. Ooh, the knight takes a slap, but Flog 2 is going out, and that will pretty much get us sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
There's nuke, nuke. Ooh.
Yeah, the only problem is that, if Tia's hitting the knight for 300, there are not a lot of other party members that are going to take that hit well. Bonk was located in the, find it in Dang's dang notes. Volcano incentive chest, Drumbordus.
And with Tiamat eating a power word kill, we are off to the floor of chaos. And Ali is one encounter away from climbing out of a full losing record.
Oh yeah, no, Ali is... Unless this chaos is absolutely brutal, Ali is in a very good position to pick up his first win of the tournament here. But yeah, now both of these runners did pick up the bonk. Because they both checked that incentive chest. So
using the ninja as a fast spot, checking out a timber, going for some power bonk, and just trying to decide what exactly you want to do with the red mage.
yeah, the Fog 2s, that's really the best move he has available. Zap comes out, this party's beefy enough in the MDef to where Zap is not a threat.
Layering on some additional tempers, and we're going to start swinging.
5 hits, 780. Yeah, Chaos
this is going to be over pretty soon.
Chaos better have something nasty up his sleeve if he wants to live long enough to equalize this race up.
Fire 2 does not quite cut the mustard there.
Another round of hitting Chaos way too hard.
Ice 2 finally takes the ninja down, not that we were relying on the ninja all that much.
The ninja did his duty.
Mm-hmm. Which was to cast fast.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things, Chaos probably wasn't going to kill both the ninja and the black mage. Alright, Fire 3, a little more aggressive from Chaos.
And... no, this is at least a fairly meaty Chaos.
Yeah, I think we've hit at least the 2000 HP mark by this point. And heading quickly toward 3000. Very quickly toward 3000.
Terminated, and with an official well, I don't have the official
yeah, the
SRL
official
time
SRL time is 1 hour 41 minutes and 40 seconds.
All right, and that is AliGerBrap as your winner for today.
Yeah, I'd say get those
those
GGs in chat, but y'all are way ahead of us.
And Sledge is now rounding the corner with Carrie, not too far behind. Ranked number 1, a winner is you to Ali.
And oh, Carrie 2 brings out nuclear. Only the knight is left standing. And
Ali got very lucky to not see that.
Yeah, Sledge unfortunately opting to go ahead and forfeit in the face of that.
Understandable. All right, well, let's see if we can get one or both of our runners in here for an interview.
Yeah, they both said they're going to need a minute, which I can't blame them for, but, yeah, they both have indicated that they'll come join us here in a minute, so we'll pull them both in and get some thoughts on this seed. It was a seed.
It was a seed. It started out pretty jetty and then got twisty.
And that is AliGerBrap joining us. Ali, GG, congrats on your first win.
Thank you.
So, before we get into the meat of the discussion, why did you put that silver knife on your black mage?
You never know. You might actually need to punch if you want to. But yeah, I was kind of worried, but like I felt good. The only reason why I felt good about this is I went early at the mermaids and like I already knew I was in go mode. It was only knowing where you had to go to get your incentivized item. So it was pretty fast. The only question is like, could I find better gear? But that's another thing.
Yeah, okay, let me rephrase this. When you got into ordeals, everyone was saying like, oh, Ali will take about 5 minutes to get that rod. And I was like, nah, Ali will blow through this in like 3 minutes. He'll be done before the hour 14-minute mark. If you had not put that stupid dagger on your black mage, I would have been right. So I blame you for me being wrong, but nah, congratulations, Ali. I'm gonna grab Sledge real quick and pull him in here as well. Sledge, GG.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you two ran a fairly tight race for a good chunk of it. Kind of one of the big difference makers is Ali. Okay, hold on. I am trying to actually remember what the big difference makers were. But Space Drake did have a question for you, so I'm gonna let him talk while I try to remember how the crap this seed played out.
Go ahead.
I actually am not entirely sure what that
It's in the notes.
What about?
I can tell you where my waste of time was.
Oh yes. So so Sledge, you had a party that gave you access to pretty much all the high-powered spells that you could ever want. You had the fighter rainbow that had access to double fade and double nuke. So why did you run from so many encounters so early? It felt like you weren't taking fights that would have been quite high experience, and that you would have just blown out of the water in a single turn.
Early game, my issue was keeping my charges for unrunnables. So let's say Marsh Cave, I'm stuck. I don't have houses. I didn't have houses for half the game. So I wanted to save my charges as much as I can for unrunnables.
That's fair. And
Yeah,
of course, you have no idea where those unrunnables are going to be, so...
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we expected. But alright, yeah, our Dangwoo has reminded me kind of where the big difference was. Sledge, you went for that early Kraken play. While
It's double. It's that sea shrine.
yeah, while Ali opted to go do everything else. The other thing that probably didn't help was he went to ice right away as soon as he got his airship, and then immediately like grabbed the incentive chest and left. And I mean, that was actually honestly a lot of the difference overall. Was he was a lot more liberal with his spell charges than you were. But yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things. Outside of that, y'all ran very strong seeds. Obviously, having those early power spells helped a lot, but, you know, for a seed where you did have to go to Marsh Cave early, where you did have to dig through some very nasty things, and where, you know, you had to go all over the map just to get your hands on a canoe, neither of you really made too many critical mistakes. It's just Ali had better luck in a few fights. Like, he was able to take out that Gasty fight in Marsh Cave and pick up some early levels. Granted, just on his Red Mage and Black Mage, because everyone else died.
I pushed Sea Shrine for my levels.
Yeah. But yeah, like, it was just a overall a well-run seed. So I guess, you know, anything in particular stand out that you kind of want to get off your chest? Like,
what was with Kraken? What was with Kraken 1?
That was a particularly nasty Kraken that apparently decided he was going to be Tiamat today.
Tiamat? No. He was trying to be Kraken too.
Yeah, for me it was mainly chaos. Like, he had I don't know how many HP he had, but like it was.
He rolled pretty close to maximum. Like, that was over.
Close to maximum.
We were counting. Yeah.
Close to maximum. Also close to maximum damage. Hit damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Chaos, I think, probably was in the 3,500 range for sure on HP. And yeah, that Kraken 1, he could take a beating and keep on ticking.
Oh yeah. Even after when he was wiping me, I'm like, okay, it's just one spell away. He can't have that much HP. No, he did have that much HP.
Mm-hmm. At least 1,600. But in the meanwhile, I actually wanted to ask Ali. It sort of seemed like you were vacillating back and forth between whether or not to just like permanently Dan the ninja. But were you actually planning from fairly early on to bring the ninja back, or were you sort of, as you were going through the seed, wondering, you know, maybe I should just stick with a 3-man strat here, or were you going to bring back the ninja at some point, like just from the start?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, at the start, my Black Mage was stoned, so I didn't want to go back to Corneria just to get a soft potion. So I just revived my teeth just to have like a third member and like to be able to run essentially. So, and after that, I think a ninja, once he's level 21, he's not like extra levels are not that useful. So once I had like my 4 new charges and my 4 fast charges, I felt that was good enough for him. So like, I think exiting Sea Shrine, I think I was already 21 on my ninja, so I just killed my ninja because I didn't think it was needed until Topher. And like technically Earth Cave because I wanted to run, but like Earth Cave was a lot of enemies that had the first strikes against me.
Mm-hmm. And also those specters with the additional poison breath.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. And also, when you expect, like maybe I should have put my knight in front, but that's just, you know what, you're just hoping that like you get decent luck, but like we didn't have like the incentives, like the enemies that were like back attacking you were like a lot in Earth Cave, except like I think the major gas dragon party that was ambushing me in Topher also was kind of worried that I could like lose a member there.
Yeah, but speaking of Topher, one thing that Sledge saw that you didn't, Ali, Carrie had nuclear.
Yeah, that made me forfeit right there.
Understandable.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think it would have been as big a roadblock for Ali, just because you had the levels on that party to where nuclear would have stung, but it was recoverable. Whereas Sledge was kind of going in at a much lower level, and again, I think some of that was just owing to the fact that you were successful in a few fights that Sledge kind of had to duck out of. And we have lost Sledge, but I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, you sometimes you need some luck, and like that's pretty much. I mean, that's the game in Randomizer. Pretty much, like you just get a fight, and like you get lucky, and like don't have like can keep your like experience. I mean, that like Gas Dragons that really helped me to have like a lot of nuke and fake charges for the rest of the run. I mean, that just sets up where you can go. I like once I saw you've got level 1 nuke, level one fade, level 2 nuke. You know you can go in a lot of places, and like especially I was like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about going to mermaids at first. I was thinking I saw the chime and I was like, oh, I could go there. And like, hey, wait, I need to get more charges to keep my charges because I didn't have a house. So I went to mermaids just to gain a couple of levels, and like I was going after that.
So, okay, one more question, then we'll probably go ahead and try to wrap up so that we can push folks over to that Life Reboot One Fine Day match that's going on over on RM2. And this is for both of you. When you saw that first and second level magic, was there any temptation to just do Maya strats? Just reset the game. I am now a 4 red mage party.
No, you still need someone to like do some physical attacks, and like especially like you're already late. Like I think it's always losing time. If you know that you can feed our level 1 and 2, I would probably start with like fighter 2 red mages. But like I still think like the black mage would have helped a lot because you didn't have tempers. Like it was like mainly do you want to just do power goblet strats, and like I'm guessing enemies were like Chaos had a lot of defense also, so like it was probably better to like have a black mage.
Fair enough. Sledge, what about you? We may still not have a Sledge because we can't hear you, but
Sorry, my mic was closed.
that's fine.
Yeah, I was tempted to go fighter triple red mage after a while. After seeing those two.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things we definitely had a spirited discussion if y'all go back and watch the VOD about, do you just go the full Maya and just, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to lose time, but in the end, I'm just going to be a walking weapons platform. So it'll be okay. It'll balance out because everything dies. But yeah, so Sledge, I think we lost you when I was saying we're probably going to go ahead and get some final thoughts and then kick it over to RM2 to catch the second half of Life Reboot and One Fine Day's matchup. So I guess we'll start with you then. Any final thoughts on this race, this seed, the tournament so far?
No, actually I'm having fun. Like I said, the point of the tournament is to have fun most of all. Otherwise, just... I know I did Kraken, but whatever, it happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things, I adhere to the Alpharad school of thought. If it had worked, that would have been a play. And it didn't work, but what if it had worked?
Yeah.
So, because, yeah, that would have basically meant you wouldn't have gone back to sea. Ali, what about you? Any kind of final thoughts?
Oh, it's fun. I'm still having fun. That's why I play this. I mean, I'd be honest. Like, I mean, I just play this for fun, and like I have fun doing it. Like, I can't wait for next week.
All right. Yeah. No. I'm glad y'all are having fun with this because that's, at the end of the day, that's kind of the whole point of this. There's nothing on the line except who had the most fun. and some people have the most fun being the winner. But, I mean, it is one of those things like, you know, it's good to have fun even if you aren't necessarily, you know, blasting all of your opponents into oblivion. So, that's kind of my thought on it. Space Drake, why don't you go ahead and take us home, and we'll get these fine people over to another race.
All right. So, good viewers, you have been watching the race between Sledge and AliGerBrap on the Randomizer channel, and this has been Final Fantasy Randomizer. And if the match today has caught your interest and you would like to learn more, please visit FinalFantasyRandomizer.com in order to learn more about the randomizer and roll up a seed yourself. And you can find links to our Discord there in chat, and the Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament 2020 will be running for several more weeks, so keep an eye on the calendars of both Randomania and Speed Gaming in order to catch more matches in the coming weeks. I'm Space Drake.
I'm Woad. We've had Dangwoo having our back with the tracker and on our restream. And thank you, everyone. See you next time.